Some nice things.
All right, welcome to the Renaissance Exchange. Today we have a young king, Elijah, an online coach, owner of the GrindTribe. Welcome, brother.
My good brother, welcome, welcome, man. Appreciate you for having me on here.
Yes, it's definitely a pleasure. I know you got a lot going for yourself, so I appreciate your time. So tell the people what you do, just general, because we're gonna dive into the nuances.
100%, 100%. My name is
Yeah.
Elijah. Uh, as he already spoke, I'm a fitness and peak performance coach. I run the number one fitness and peak performance community for Black and Brown businessmen and entrepreneurs, and essentially I help us operate at our highest physical and mental capacity inside of life, man.
Power to the people. We definitely need that for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. And the best part about it is so beneficial for us in terms of exploring things that are out of our comfort zone.
Hmm.
Because I interact with a lot of people that have history with the criminal justice system
Hmm.
and individuals in poverty. So they are confined to a specific routine in their life. So they wake up, they either have to go to probation or parole, or if not, they getting high, playing the video
Hmm.
game, going to the corner store, going to the laundromat, maybe on the block hanging out with their friends, and then that's it. They go back to the house and do that cycle all over again and stuff. And that's
Hmm.
just because of
Hmm.
the environment and stuff. But the fact that we got this and you're promoting it for our people, this is gonna be big for sure. And like you said, it's the number one business out there for us. But before we even get into that, like tell the people where you grew up and what was your upbringing like.
100%, man. I grew up in Long Island, New York. Um, my upbringing, I would say, was mild. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Long
Mm,
Island, so everybody knows, especially our city cats know it's not crazy in Long Island, but you know, every hood got its own jungle. I would say that, right? And so, I grew up with, uh, gracefully or unfortunately, I grew up with a lot of male figures in my life, and so I had a large amount of role models with different viewpoints. You know what I'm saying? I had uncles that were kingpins, I had uncles that went to college, and really just a lot of reinforcement around values, around thinking for self. And so I was kind of like, I never really slipped too far into the deep end, but I definitely played on the line of it. I would say I was that kid who knew better but did not do better, and kind of found myself really, I wouldn't really say that the good kid chasing the thrill, but I mean, I just honestly, man, I was a very entrepreneurial kid and I love to make money. And so that was kind of my way that I slightly got into the streets. But I was to be honest, I was always just a modest dude who knew I had a future for myself. So when push came to shove, I always knew that I put my future before any of that. And so yeah, man, grew up, went to high school, graduated, went to college. That's where we met you, SUNY Delhi.
right.
Then transitioned over to University at Buffalo, where I finished my undergraduate degree. Since then, man, I built a lot of skill sets as an entrepreneur. Around my first tech business, and now, I'm teaching other entrepreneurs how to develop that mindset, that system behind their mental health and their physical health to help them really think at a higher capacity, man, and live inside of that higher state of consciousness.
Mm, mm. Wow, that's
So,
that's super super powerful because, like you said, you 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 were in the streets. Well, you're not. It wasn't in the streets. You had a understanding of that mentality, but
right.
also had a understanding that I want to have a future for myself. Well, I'm conscious of a future, and
Right.
I'm gonna do whatever I had to do to get out. What part of Long Island
100%.
did you live in?
Like Copiague, Amityville, so borderline Suffolk, Nassau.
My mother, she lives in Amityville.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so after I ended up after Delhi, I went to Cortland.
Okay.
So every time I would go back home for break and stuff, I would go out there, spend time with her in Amityville. Yeah, for sure.
100%.
But I love what you're doing for sure. Dick, so you say you had a lot of male figures in your life that were guiding
Yeah.
you on the path. Well, because they had a certain perspective, you were able to
Mm-hmm.
absorb that information and run with it. Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Did
Luckily,
you?
yes.
Yeah, yeah. That's a blessing, especially I know being absent of that. I didn't grow up with my pops at all. He was
Mm-hmm.
only relevant in my life when I was playing AAU basketball, so around 11, 12, 13. He
Mm-hmm.
was coming around, coming to those games, and those are the memories that I have of him that are positive. So,
Yep.
and I always seek that male perspective and stuff. Like my mother, she's a phenomenal woman, but it's so much she can understand and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's certain things like
Yeah.
when I want to express about a girl or something like that or my perspective, I don't really feel comfortable sharing that with her because
Mm.
it may not
Right.
be something good. So
Nah, I feel that.
yeah. So like did you have any like do you or did you have any other role models in your life? Like current
Yeah, like yeah, man. I mean, I would always say this. Like, are you talking about in the perspective of growing up? Did I have any additional role models, or are you saying like from what capacity you're saying?
from both like growing up and then now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, man. Growing up, I had my mom, and my pops didn't live together, but my pops was around. I'm West Indian, so I had a lot of I got a lot of family. Most of my
Mm,
family lived out in Brooklyn, but my mom's side, I was really really close to a lot of my uncles. And then on my dad's side, I just again lots of cousins, lots of uncles. But so we can all have that sometimes, but I think it's that level of mentorship that I got from, a lot of my family on my mom's side, my uncles on my mom's side specifically, because they was in the street. So they had, with that lifestyle, the one of the pros of that lifestyle comes you have a lot of control over your time. So my uncles would come and they would take me to get haircuts on Saturday, and you know what I'm saying, they would show me things around the house, and really just teach me how to think, man. And they kind of poured that level of think for yourself and that level of self accountability and self leadership inside of my mind. And when you're young, man, the things that get said to you, the things that get done to you, those get planted as seeds inside of your subconscious mind. So even as I got older, and I started kind of wanting to be like them. I wanted to make money. I kind of wanted to be that guy, even though I didn't come from a broken family or a broken home in any type of way. I didn't come from a wealthy family, but I just came from a family where I'm the type of kid that has no reason to be doing it, right?
yeah.
But for me, like anybody, it's like what is our environment expose us to? And
Mhm.
so for me, I was a humble kid, but I always just aspired to go out there and create and do for myself. I heard my mom say all the time, I work so hard to make sure you got what you have. And in my mind, I was like, well, you shouldn't have to. So I went out there and started doing for myself. So I wouldn't have to ask her, Mom, let me get money for this. When she want to give me, it would feel good to when my mom actually, do you need something? Do you need some money? I'd be like, nah, Mom, I'm good. I got it. That just became my thing. And that really became the driver of me wanting to go out there and do what I was doing and really just being entrepreneurially driven at a young age. And what was exposed to me was entrepreneurship inside of that capacity. And
Mm,
so, having those male role models, I think that one of the biggest things that was instilled in me is number one, bro, you got a future, right? And number two, I just had to realize that from a real life perspective, my uncles wasn't drug dealers, so I can't be a drug dealer, right? We didn't have those type of values where they was pushing me into that lifestyle. They was trying to teach me to think as a man and teach me to think for myself, so that way I wouldn't have to go out and do those things. You know what I mean? And so I always had that chip on the back of my shoulder, like, bro, don't go in too deep because it's
mm,
not really worth it. But at the same time, I was young and I was hungry for. I really can't even really say thrill, man, because I wasn't really like a follower like that. I was just hungry to make money and do for myself and have my own system of achieving things. And so my outlet for that was in the streets. And you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I was doing stuff. I was good at it because I always had just like a very professional persona about me. Like I was like the dude that you could get refunds on your weed if you didn't like it. And it was like, you know what I'm saying? And so I still have people till this day hit me up like, man, you were like infamous, you were the best weed man ever. And I'm just like, but I say that to say, and I don't say that to like to brag about that,
Yeah.
because number one, I was literally just selling weed, but number two, it's not to brag about it, but it's just say that I always just have that persona of wanting to serve people and be the person that could have something that's better out there than what's already inside of the marketplace. Have people be like, man, he's the guy to go to. He's dependable. He's reliable. He's the source. You know what I mean? And so
Mm,
that's what kind of fueled my constant drive to be consistently trying to make money. You know what I'm saying, and be in the streets in that capacity.
yeah, that's
Mhm.
powerful, and I like how you build upon that as well, starting from your mom and you not wanting to ask her for things and stuff. You
Yeah.
see, even though yeah, living in a certain economic status or slightly more comfortable than poverty, but still just the fact like I don't want to see this more my mom have to struggle for me or have to constantly
Mm.
give for me. I want to be independent and based
Right.
on the
Right.
individuals that were around you and stuff, they're extremely influential.
Right.
But at the same time, they are trying to guide you on a better path. Like, don't be like me. Let me show
Right.
you the way. But understand certain principles and take that and run with it for your life and utilize it in a
100%.
positive way. Um, Regardless of if you were selling weed, you you started to cultivate your skill set, as you said,
Right.
being professional, how to interact with people, what are the
Hmm.
deals, because
Right.
that's a asset right there. The fact that
100%.
you could get a refund, like people, once people watch this video, they gonna start like, yo, if you don't like it, you can get a refund type, because
Right.
getting people come back, and that's the goal,
Yeah.
especially when it
Yeah.
comes to business. We want retention. We want our people to keep
Right.
coming back. So that's powerful
Man,
for
I
sure.
man, I remember the first time I learned about being exceptional when it came to customer service. You know, I was young. I was like, maybe very early high school, freshman year. I had like just started dabbling with like trying to make some little side money selling a little weed. And so I remember the first time I copped the eighth. Eighth is 3.5, right? A dime bag is point 0.5. And it's the first time I actually had a scale. So I was like, and my homie was like, yo, just break it down by point 0.5. That's when people you were selling dimes for a whole $10. There was no really no deals like that. But I was like, man, what if I just put point 0.7 in it? I might lose like 10 or $15, but everybody's always complaining about they weed, man.
Hmm.
And so I just started stuffing the bags a little bit thicker. And while I was losing a little bit of margin on the front end, what that did was everybody used to call me Buck, yo, Buck got some great Buck got some fat bags. And then one customer turned into three, and then three turned into six, and then six turned into 12. And it was a multiplying compounding effect because
Uh,
I wasn't looking at it. Taught me about that level of instant gratification. I wasn't looking to just make money up on the front end. It's like, let me think longevity. It's a client-based business. Let me make my clients happy. And business is just the rule of business. People buy from who they know, like, and trust, and who they know or hear that they can know, like, and trust. You know what I mean? And so that was my mindset behind it. And that's when I fell in love with it. It wasn't even making the money for me. It was just like, how well can I serve people?
mhm.
Like people would come back to me, like, and it's crazy because I later ran an actual tech startup where you build a product at its minimal viable function and you get feedback on it, and it really just put me back in the space like, wow, this is the same thing, right?
Mm,
It's all about servicing people, seeing how you can be better than what's out there in the market, and getting people to come back excited to buy from you, right? And so that kind of just sparked my entrepreneurial journey, man. And it was like, really, it was just that level of creativity that I always had inside of me that I was able to see it unfold. I was able to see it just in that version of making money. For me, I never wanted to be a drug dealer. Like I always knew, like I'm not getting caught up with anything heavier than weed because those are federal charges, and
yep.
like I kind of it's just outweighed it. Like I'd rather get caught up for some weed than so a heavier drug than that because that's going to heavily influence my future. That's just simply how I made that decision. So I
Hmm.
always stuck with that. It's just like my little hustle, but it was not just the aspect of just making money. It was the aspect of like I'm learning about this game that these laws would soon to become so universal with me, right?
Hmm.
Inside of just this capacity of what I'm doing right now, man. So it was like the Matrix, bro. Full circle, man.
Absolutely, transferable skills for sure.
100%.
Yeah, that's powerful. So you started, well, you were part of a tech company.
Yes, so I was running my own
You
startup.
okay? You were running it. So like, what got you into that? Like, so you were in college, you was at UB. Did
Yep.
you finish the undergrad and then went straight into it, or you were doing it during
Yeah.
undergrad?
So yeah, at UB, when I remember I transferred out of Delhi, I had the option of going to U Albany or UB.
Mm-hmm.
And there were two things, and it was really my higher self that spoke to me. I knew U Albany, I was still young at the time. So I was looking at what school got more parties, more girls,
Yeah.
da 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 da. And U Albany was definitely the more popping school. But there was something about UB, man. When I stepped on that campus, I just felt like a whole lot of something in my spirit was like, yo, this is the campus for you. Like, you're gonna be able to do some big things here. And it was the
Mm-hmm.
bigger campus in Albany. It was like a little bit of a cleaner campus in Albany, but it just didn't have that popping wild feel like Albany. Cause right. And so I transferred to UB, and a year or two down the line, they started hosting these really interesting thing called business competitions where you could come up with it was pretty much like Shark Tank, and you can come up with these ideas you could pitch, and it was just giving away free money. And I remember the first time I ever did one, I walked past this sign, it was like $1,000, 90-second pitch. In my mind, I'm like, $1,000 in 90 seconds, that's a lick right there. Hold on. So I was like, so I went in, and
Like,
it's crazy because I went in and there was this woman in there, this uh and she's now like one of my sponsors. She's helped me in so many ways. She's literally helped me generate more than like 50, 60,000 dollars of opportunity. And that
wow.
one time we met, I went in there and I was like, hey, what's this? And I was like, I don't know. And she encouraged me. She's like, you seem like a really good talker. Like, you should do it. You should do it. And she just kept on encouraging me for some reason. I was like, all right, whatever. So I did it the first year. I didn't win. But I got on the stage and I was able to pitch and articulate an idea in front of people, and I just whipped it up and practiced it. I'm like, all right, this is kind of ill. I'm kind of I'm jacking this, right? And so the next year I went, and that's when I pitched my idea for my startup, which was a vending machine on campus that allowed people to store their refrigerated items, kind of like a Uber refrigeration. It was called Cold
Mm.
Space. And so it was a problem that I had. This is when I really learned about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is simply about solving problems. And at the time, I was a healthy dude. I was doing calisthenics heavy. I would bring my protein shakes and my oatmeal to campus, and bro, I'd just be carrying around a lunchbox all day. This shit was annoying as hell. I just figured
Mm.
out like, yo, I have to save way more money. One day I walked past the vending machine. I said, "Man, I really wish they wouldn't try to sell me shit. They just gave me a little space to store my food. Like I'm tired of getting super friendly with my professionals, just with my professors, just so I can use their fridge." And so that was the idea that I pitched at the second competition, and I took home the big check, $1,000, and I was like, "Okay, I got some here." And I didn't really think nothing of it. I was like, it just sounded like a good idea, but then I kept hearing like people, students, faculty, they just kept coming up to me the next semester, the next full semester, like, hey, are you guys gonna, I was definitely like the idea, and I started getting all this feedback that people don't even know. Like, hey, I remember you pitched that. Like, yo, people come to me with their lunchbox, like, yo, when you gonna make that happen? I was like, oh shit. So I went to one of my fraternity brothers who became my co-founder. I was like, yo, bro, you wanna like turn this shit into a business? And he said, yeah, why not? We ain't got nothing to lose. And so we just kind of started. We signed up for this entrepreneurship class to help you build your business plan, and we just started taking advantage of all the opportunity, bro. It was a bunch of business competitions on campus, so there was tons of opportunity to win free money. That funneled us into, again, the environment, right? We're gonna talk about environment, that access to understanding, like, yo, this exists in multiple capacities. Then we started realizing there was business competitions at different schools that we could probably be a part of. The SUNY, the SUNY business plan competition, we went up to 100 grand there. Then I opened it up to us to a private investment in capital. We can go to other different conferences and pitch. And I was just pitching, man. And now we won some money. When I graduated, we had about like 50K in a bank just from business competitions when I graduated. I'm like,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying? I had a job offer. I did an internship, in a corporate space, man. And I ain't gonna hold you, bro. I felt like the most incompetent motherfucker ever inside of a corporate workspace. Um, it was just like, at that time I was really, really tapping into my knowledge of self. And so I was very, very still very new and very marinated inside of this information and knowing who I am and knowing what was done to me as a black man. So now I'm entering in this white dominated space, and all these little nuances and passive aggressive things that most of these people do, and out of privilege they don't even realize they're doing. It was a very emotionally taxing for me. Every day I'm leaving work, 4 or 5 occurrences, like, damn, did I overreact? Or damn, why
Mm.
not check this motherfucker? Who did this
Yep.
motherfucker think he was to say some shit like that to me? And I was just like, man, like, I shouldn't have to deal with all that emotional weight just from working a 9 to fucking 5. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, man, forget it. At that time I was fitness training on the side, I was making some good money. I was like, you know what? I'm a fitness trainer to make my dollars, and I'm gonna run this startup, man. And so I started running the startup full time. You know, we built a prototype. We had customers. We had a couple of pending campuses. Um, and then we just ran into we had the reason why it fell out is really just because of co-founder issues. You know,
Mm,
running a hard tech startup, man, you're talking about raising money from investors, building a software, building a hardware. I had an engineering team, marketing team, you know, and it felt really good. And I was learning a lot about business at an extremely rapid pace.
yeah.
Because that's just what that environment it forces you to do. And so I ended up falling out with one of my partners, and it kind of pivoted things, and then you know things are looking kind of shady, or not shady but cloudy inside
Yeah.
of the trajectory there. And I was speaking to one of my mentors, and she said, Elijah, you know, I know when we teach you how to pitch, we show you that you can create this multi-million-dollar profiting company within 5 years, but the reality is, do you see yourself doing this for the next 10 years? Because
Mm,
that's the mindset that you got to have. She was like, are you passionate about this? And she was like, because if you're not, you need to figure out what you're passionate about and what you can see yourself doing for the next 10 years. And you need to work on that, because you're in a
mm,
position right now where your attention needs to be all in. And I said, damn, that's when I realized sometimes the best advice doesn't come from the shit that you want to hear, bro.
yep.
Right. Because at that time, I'm like, I could do this and this and this and this. And I was like, damn, it just gave me that perspective, man. So I decided to, you know, at that time, I felt like I had a deeper calling inside of fitness, inside of helping people achieve their goals. And so that's when I started taking fitness more full time. This was about a year and a half after graduation. And so I was this is when I was full time in fitness, even though I'd still been in fitness part time for about 3 years before that. And so man, I just started building, man. I just started building, and I started realizing that, you know, my purpose, and what I feel is my purpose is to really help people reach their true potential. And at that time, fitness was the vehicle to allow me to do that. For you to
Wow.
come here and say, man, you know, here's what this is my goal. I want to have more confidence in me to give you the framework and the coaching and the guidance to do that, man, it felt good. And so from there, man, I just started building out this idea to help entrepreneurs, because I know I was an entrepreneur when I was running my startup and I was trying to raise money, and you know I was in all these rooms code switching. It was just a lot of emotional buildup. It was just a lot of long work days, and I even fell behind on my health physically and especially mentally. And I was like, yo, you know, as a black man inside of that space. And I personally feel like the tech space is a very important space for us to be in, because the tech space we are now emerging new industries. Like new
Yeah.
industries are being built from these innovative technologies, which means this gives us opportunity to be able to own market share of a specific industry. There are
Yeah.
no black owned companies that own the majority of market share in any industry, not the auto industry, real estate, right? Any beauty industry, even though right we consume how much in beauty products a year, but there's no one single black owned company that if you look at the market as a whole, we own the most of that market share.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason why I say tech is so important, and to have black founders in tech building these new different technologies like Squire, for example, or Get Squire. They're a barbershop management software that has raised a bunch of money. They've been killing. They might be the first black what they call a unicorn. A unicorn startup is like Uber, Lyft. These startups that started literally with just a group of young dudes with a vision, and turned out to be a technology that changed the way we live as human beings. Right? That's 1,000% profitable from its jump. Those are what we call unicorns. Those literally have the ability to transform industries, and for the founders of those to be able to be the headways of who controls the market share. And so I started looking at it, I'm like, man, if tech is a way for us to really build that next step of mobilization for ourselves, because if we can control an industry, that means we can create more opportunities, more access, and more resources to our own, and really pull ourselves up. And I said, if being a black tech entrepreneur is this hard, I come in here, right? I don't have no resources. I don't have no rich uncles, right? Not no more,
Mm.
right? Because we all know rich uncles that do that don't last too long, right?
Yep.
You know, I don't have all this capital. I don't really know how to maneuver in these spaces. The only thing that I really got is my own confidence, my ability to bet on myself. If my
Mm.
confidence is low, if I got anxiety, if I'm tired, if I'm burnt out, how I'm supposed to perform inside of that capacity while I'm raising money, building a team? Every second counts. It's a highly competitive sport. I can't. And I started realizing like, yo, I want to be able to create not just tech founders, but Black entrepreneurs as a whole, cultivate that mindset of, being at your prime physical and mental capacity, because that's what you need to be a great entrepreneur, innovative entrepreneur, a fast learning entrepreneur. But not only that, bro, while we trying to do all these things, while we trying to build generational wealth, we also got to still be breaking generational curses. We also got to be
Absolutely.
changing our values, and we also got to be holding accountability for the things in our community that need work. And so it's this heavy set of work in multiple capacities in which we need more capacity to be able to accomplish. And so that was my vision, man. That's when I started building out the message of the GrindTribe. Like, yo, you don't got to trade your health for success, bro. Right. And
Mm,
then I started working with specifically men, and really working with specifically Black and brown men, and letting us know, like, yo, there is a roadmap for you to become more optimized inside of your lifestyle. Whether you're trying to, I like to say optimize, whether your goal is to just be in the best shape physically, or it's like, you know what, I just want to be healthy, but I really want to be in the best shape mentally. Whatever that is, you have a roadmap to get there, because those are going to be some extremely important factors of the way that you perform, not just in your business, bro, but inside of your life. You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? Us as Black entrepreneurs, the decisions that we make, we don't have the opportunity to fuck up on a lot of these decisions. Like people who come from different spaces where they have more financial capital, more social capital, aka people they know, right, where that space looks like them, they have the opportunity to make bigger mistakes. For us, the window of opportunity just happens to be smaller. And
Yep.
so inside of that, we can't we got to be as we got to be operating at the highest we can be while we got that window of opportunity. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And so really, man, that's the why behind the vision, and that's the backstory coming from straight, you know what I'm saying, filling those bags up, learning about customer service, all the way to like understanding like, okay, here's the vision, here's what I want to do, here's how I want to impact, here's my why. Forget about the money, right?
mm.
Forget about the vanity, right? Here's the why behind what I do.
Absolutely, man. Well, first, snaps, because that monologue, that right there could change the trajectory of someone's life for sure. Because it was an epiphany for me, for sure. Just hearing how similar that process was for you, understanding that you can thrive in all of these different realms, but
Right.
I know that I'm truly passionate about this, and I
Right.
know I'm going to be able to sustain this 10 years and more
Mhm.
because it's coming from a frequency of pure passion. So that
Facts.
right there is that's what stuck with me. Well, a lot of stuff stuck with me, but that right there was extremely relevant in my reality. So, well, the people that are listening now, just reflect upon the process that he had to go through. He went through a stage where he understood that, all right, I have the ability to speak in front of a lot of people and share a specific idea. And I didn't even put a lot of work into that. It was just me rehearsing something. And
Yeah.
then to really get some momentum because you got positive feedback and you starting
Hmm.
to see that individuals are coming up to me because I came up with this idea,
Yep.
and I put more emphasis in it, did it again, and then actually was gratified with money, and then having someone that you have a relationship with, a cool friend, and then deciding to move forward with the idea. It started from an idea, and then going deeper and deeper into it by, all right, let's go into more competitions. We got to find
Yep.
some more capital and stuff like that, and just grow on how we're articulating ourselves, understand the industry, things of that nature. And then it started to prosper and prosper and prosper, and it
Hmm.
went even further by having to really understand the market. Like, so you went on a stage where you were articulating the different industries and the lack of our people in the industry,
Yep.
and also experiencing the dissonance in the corporate world as well, and understanding your all of the domains of one's health in terms of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. and understanding like this potential here, but I'm not 100% passionate about it for
Right.
sure, and that came from the mentor. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm doing right now, I'm building upon your reality to show other people that you have to experience life. You
Mm-hmm.
have to take risks, and you just have to go with what feels right, but also
Mm-hmm.
be able to be receptive to information from other people and from your
Yep.
environment. So
Mm-hmm.
you heard something that you may not wanted to hear, but it was exactly what you needed to hear, and that was from your mentor
100%.
when she told you
Mm-hmm.
that. So we have to get to a point where we're receptive to corrective criticism. So I appreciate you sharing that. And then to understand, my passion is fitness, and having high quality customer service, and understanding that this helps individuals when you're coaching them, guiding them
Mm-hmm.
on their path of their own greatness, and just running with that. Because I've been following you from I'm not sure if it was the very beginning, but when you were hosting the different classes out in Buffalo and stuff, you started to
Mm-hmm.
collab, and you started to post those videos of of it was different forms of meditation and workouts and all that. It was
Mm-hmm.
like three people on that team out in Buffalo. I don't remember, but I watched the progression, and it always was progression. So kudos to you there for sure.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah. So in that realm of fitness, what about what have you faced any type of adversity there? And if so, how did you prevail through it?
Yeah, man. Absolutely, bro. Tons, definitely a lot of adversity when you in your own lane. And so a lot of people don't really understand the level of adversity that's going to come when you're on the right track. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really obsessed with trying to feel like I got haters and all that, because at the end of the day, jealousy, envy, toxic superiority, those are all lower
Ego.
frequency forms of energy, right? It's all parts,
Mm-hmm.
they're all extensions of your ego. And so I don't
Right.
really pay attention to that. You know, a lot of people like to feel like they have haters, or they feel good when people are hating on them. I don't want nobody throwing hate or and that type of energy my way. So I don't really speak that into existence. But what I will say is there was a lot of, you know, and then go back to environment, right? I transitioned from the hood to college, to the new college, to to a new city. I always switch my environments up when I feel like I'm feeling like I'm hitting the glass ceiling. So inside of, when I was training in Buffalo, I was for the most part, there were very few trainers that had any type of message attached to personal training. And so, I started, doing boxing classes. I started at,
Right.
implement this, this aspect of holistic health and meditation into my stuff. I started hosting events, and it's crazy because it was just a very small town thinking within the fitness community there, from a high perspective. And I remember this one time there was a situation where, this guy who I was mutual friends with, I don't know, there was like this white kid on his story. He was a trainer for another gym, and he was like punching the bag. And I was like, and I just jokingly hit him up in his DM. I'm like, yo, bro, tell your man to put his hands up, before the bag knock him out, just joking around. And so supposedly he was a boxer. So he hits me up in my DM going crazy, talking crazy. I'm like, bro, I don't even know where white boys talk like this. It must be a Buffalo thing, because this is not rocking down from where we from. But
Right.
but he was talking crazy. But what he was saying, he was pretty much essentially saying, yo, who the fuck is you, bro? You're not a boxer. You're not a real boxing trainer. You got a little fake little focus pad certification and all this kind of stuff. Trying to tell me I was unqualified and I need to stay in my place and da da da. So at this point, I'm just like, bro, I don't even know how you know all this information about me. I don't even know you, bro.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, you know what I'm saying? But for me, it was interesting because I wasn't qualified to teach boxers. I actually didn't coach boxers. I coached general public. During UB, when I was attending UB, I was, because of my leadership initiatives, I was able to secure a fellowship that paid for my last year of school. And inside that fellowship it was pretty much for leadership minded students. I had like the minimum GPA requirement. GPA requirement was a 3.0, and I had like a 2.9899, right? And I'm like, yo, there was no black people on the board. It was like one of these weird. I thought it was like a little cult when I first seen the picture. But then the same lady who told me to pitch at the competition, she was the director of
Wow.
that fellowship. And I walked past it, and I'm like, she was like, what happened last time you doubted yourself? And I told you could do it. And I was like, damn, you're right. I applied for the fellowship, went into the interview. At the time, I was running a fitness club, and they were just looking for people who had leadership initiatives because they knew leaders on campus turned into entrepreneurs, and they had this whole mission of creating more entrepreneurs. So I immediately was given a fellowship, and part of that fellowship, they paid for my last year of school, all my out of pocket expenses. They also gave me a $1,500 stipend to go do whatever, to go learn whatever. So at the time, I seen this little Instagram ad for this thing called Box and Burn Academy. These British dudes that own a boxing gym out in Cali, and they were teaching people how to work focus mitts, how to work the pads, hold the pads, work those combos. And so I was like, you know what? Let me go out there, little trip to LA, paid for by my fellowship. That won't hurt.
Uh,
So I went out there. I got my certification as a part of as an addition to my regular fitness certification, and I learned how to just hold pads, how to 1, 2, 3, 4, how to teach people the basics of boxing, the general public. So from there, I started running classes. I started really just focusing on learning the skills of how to hold pads with my clients. I'm teaching like old white ladies how to 1, 2, 3, 2 roll, right? And so one day, right, I was, I'm gonna bring this back full circle like Dave Chappelle
yeah.
doing all his jokes. One day, I'm in this boxing class, right? And I got this old white lady in my boxing class. There's a new white lady that comes in there, and she's new, so I put her with my old homie Joanne, who was she was just one of the regulars, and she's this old lady, but she got great soul, love her to death. She knows how to rock the mitts. And so I watched them and I paired them up and I watched how, and then it was a portion of the class where I had them holding mitts for each other. And I was teaching them how to hold the 1, 2, 3, 2 rolls. And I just saw, I was like, by the end of the class, you would have thought that this these two ladies was best friends. And again, the entrepreneurial mindset kicked in. Damn, man, something about holding focus, which really allows people to connect. So then I kind of held on to that epiphany, and I started utilizing it more in my classes. And then one day I was at a startup event, one of these little networking events where there's investors in the room, and it was at a brewery, and it's a common thing upstate where most of the tech events are held at breweries and places that we just don't go as black people to network, right?
Yeah.
We don't really rock with breweries like that. And so I spoke to this guy, and it was just like a very surface level conversation. He was a typical, not very good listener, tech white guy, who thinks he knows everything. And I was just like, man, I'm so tired of coming to these events, bro. I'm like, the goal of networking is not just to meet people, exchange a business card, talks to bullshit, and turn it and fizzle out into nothing, right? The whole point of networking is to connect with people, right? It's to build relationships. And then I had this epiphany. I was like, yo, what if I created my own networking event? As a matter of fact, what if I created my own networking event and I brought people together instead of over pizza and cheap wine and beer, it was over fitness, specifically over boxing. Because the same way that drinking lowers your inhibition, so does sweating, right? Because of the endorphin release inside of your body. And I was like, this is interesting. Maybe I got something here. So I dabble with the idea like, yo, I'm going to put together a large boxing class, invite a bunch of professionals from all over the city, right? And I'm going to have them box and then network, bring their business cards, but they're going to learn how to box. And it's like group fun boxing class.
Mm.
And then what I did was like, you know what? I got a little bit more innovative. I'm like, let me bring together this message around how entrepreneurs need to make sure they're taking care of their health. So I called the 3 most successful entrepreneurs I knew at the moment. I was like, yo, could you guys be panelists for me? Like, I want to be able to host a panel, get people fired up on this conversation, then go have a good time boxing and be able to connect over a great basis in a healthy way. Man, I threw like a couple of flyers on LinkedIn, told all the people I knew. I had like 17 people come up the first time,
Wow.
but it was proof of concept. People
Mm.
bought tickets, right? So I was like, okay, cool. The next time I did it, one of my clients, she had a big warehouse space specifically, and she let me host the event there. I marketed this time. I learned a little bit more marketing skills. I had the social proof quote on camera, and this was just something that was new about these event combos and convos, boxing networking event. It automatically made people think, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
Second event had about 50 people show up, right? Was able to get sponsors.
Mm.
I was able to get about 4 grand worth of sponsors because now I started to learn that, yo, this is a new type of event, right? People are it's I started to look at business in a very value-based way. And I said, what organizations are looking to promote and be a part, have this be a part of their branding because they support this. Everything in Buffalo at the time was about building an entrepreneur. They're trying to build a tech hub out of Buffalo, right? So everything was about building an entrepreneur community. So I was able to secure some sponsors that say, hey, Elijah, we love this idea. We'll put some money. We'll help you market. We'll help you promote. We'll put some money behind it. We'll sponsor tickets, right? Man, by the third event, I scaled the event up to nearly 100 people in attendance. I had over 10 grand in sponsorships. And it goes to show that this white boy was hit me up telling me how I'm not qualified to train boxers with this certification, but I turned this $375 little boxing cert that I got for free into over 20 bands, 30 bands worth of revenue over the course of the time that I utilized it, right?
Woo!
And so
That's how you flex.
you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And so the name of the game is staying in your lane and innovating because there's always going to be adversity when you doing things that people not used to because it's going to magnify the lack that people feel within themselves and they're going to try to throw shade and it's a part of the process. You know you're doing something right. Don't exchange that energy back with them. You know what I'm saying? Just keep on doing your thing. And that's what I learned inside of all of it, man. Even inside of online training. Oh, this dude thinks he's on. You can't train people online. This dude only trains black guys now. And I'm like, listen, bro, I'm so far in my own lane and innovative inside of my own space and manifesting and actually taking action behind my own vision. I could give two fucks less about what somebody got to say, man, from the outside looking in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. So wow. These are gems. These are gems for sure. Absolute gems, and your mindset is extremely innovative for sure. And
Appreciate it, bro.
that right there, that's exactly how you flex. And you don't have to do any type of talking. You respond with just action for sure.
Yep.
And it brings me to your target audience. So I know for sure it's for black and brown men for sure.
Yes.
So explain to the people the importance of having a target audience for sure.
Man, listen, the target audience, man, I always say this, right? One thing I learned inside of my journey in entrepreneurship is the bigger the problem you can solve, the more value you can create. And the more value you create, you are paid by the marketplace based on the level of value you create. And so, you know, when I started working with specifically men of color, businessmen of color, I started realizing that we are constantly under a lot of stress, right? And I started realizing I'm doing more than just getting this guy that I work with in shape. I'm helping him decrease his stress. I'm helping him perform at a higher capacity. I'm helping him reach peak performance, get more productive, have more focus as a result of being healthier, right? So the problem goes from, oh, I want to lose a couple weight, or man, I need to get a little toned up, to man, I want to be at the highest level of who I can be for my business, for my life. And that in alone, that solution is worth way more than just a couple pounds lost, right? And so I started realizing that number one, I wanted, you know, when I decided to work with this community, I wanted to, you know, I was tired of kind of being all over the place with my message. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, I'm a very conscious black man. And you know, I met all the people that I mesh well with are, you know, other very conscious black men. And so it was really just a decision from intuition and passion, as well as a business decision. You want to be able to niche with a community you could grow with. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna be able to serve this community of men for the rest of my life.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? And so because of that, it was a number one, a smarter business decision to say, okay, let me serve a community that I can continue to grow with. Why? Because I am that community. I am a black
mm,
businessman. I do know what it feels like to be burned out, to be stressed out, to be handling so much that your personal relationships start taking a windfall of it, right? That your health start taking a windfall of it. And when you start taking those windfalls and you taking these L's, it starts to accumulate and you start to have doubt and anxiety. And when your doubt and anxiety gets in the way of your confidence, you're not really going out there and
absolutely.
seeking as much opportunity as you can be, right? And all these things start to relate with each other. I know that story way too well. And I say, yo, like I'm gonna help the guy that's his story way too well. Because now I know that I can create the most value from a business perspective, create the most value inside of the marketplace. But from just a intuition perspective, man, it feels good when I see other brothers talk about shit that they could never talk about in spaces because it doesn't really feel safe. I want to open cats up to learn how to develop that mindfulness, that
Mm,
thoughtfulness around a spirit, around a physical, around a mental health. I done had dudes who made more money as a result of coaching with me. I done had people that came through my program that that were had suicidal thoughts lingering and no longer had to deal with that. I done had dudes that, you know what I'm saying, that they done broke up with, you know what I'm saying, spouses and because they just had revelations that came with that conscious elevation that happens when you start taking care of your body at the physical level. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And so for me, man, all the purpose is already there, and that's why I serve who I serve.
Wow. Yeah, that's profound, and it's definitely a need for that in our community, especially in the society that we live in, for sure. So it's a necessity, absolutely. And that was going to lead to my next question in terms of the importance of your online training program. So
Mm,
share a little bit more about that. So in terms of that, you were diving into spirituality right
hmm
there. Like you're you're facilitating a specific thing that will change the trajectory of how one is perceiving their life just by
hmm
um, putting emphasis on nutrition and personal fitness. I'm not gonna go deep into your business, but let the people know a little bit more about the Grind Tribe.
100%, man. So inside of my program, bro, again, everything for me is about innovation. I'm constantly thinking about how can I better serve my customer, right? How can I serve my customer better than anybody else? And so, inside of my program, we focus on really three main pillars. Really, is just body, mind, and just lifestyle as a whole. And so we put everybody that comes to our program through a tailored framework when it comes to training and nutrition. That's at minimum, right? You're getting a custom tailored training plan, nutrition plan. You get the membership site. You come with video guide exercises. You also get the access to get live coaching, right? And so we have two different coaches inside of my community. We have myself. I coach training, nutrition, and mindset, and then we have additional coach who coaches more of the lifestyle aspect, the peak performance aspect, right? Like it's different for me to tell Great Quan, yo, I need you eating XYZ, training this many times a week, and just telling you it versus understanding what your lifestyle is and telling you, hey, if you want to do this consistently, bro, you probably want to have your sleep schedule look like this. You want to consider this. Here's how you need you want to make sure that your environment is not stressing you past this level. And so I have specifically a peak performance coach to help my guys implement the habits and the lifestyle that helps sustain these results. Because I could be like every other fitness coach out there, slap you up a meal plan, some nutrition, tell you come holler at me. You may get results, you may not, but then you're still dependent on somebody to give you what you need to listen to, what you need to follow to get results. For me, it's all about cultivating that mindset, shifting your identity, and giving you, what I'm saying, the roadmap and the live coaching. Because inside of implementing all this stuff, you're going to run into challenges, giving you the coaching to be able to create solutions for those challenges as you run into them so you have a more seamless process. Now, inside of my coaching program, again, innovation, bro. Everything's concierge level. So when people sign up for my program, number one, it's not cheap, but it really depends on the way you look at the value. You get sent your
Absolutely.
supplements. What I'm saying, at the end of my program, when you graduate and you hit your goal, we have a partnership with a custom clothes of the year company that only makes suits for their clients on a client by client basis. They don't market anything. Fully custom suits. And inside of my program, when you graduate, man, you graduate and you graduate into getting your own custom suit sent to you. You get to pick out the fabrics, you get to pick out the interior lining. Your name is engraved on the interior of the suit. And we utilize the software that we use to train you to take the measurements, right? So when you graduate, it's a fully bespoken path, right? So you're going through that transformation, but now you have something tangible to be able to walk out of that transformation with. Now you got a whole new set of confidence. You got a $2,500 suit on that helps you walk into any room and have your aura and your confidence speak for itself. That's what we call innovation. There's nobody in the market doing that. Implement all these
Wow.
things specific for the type of guy that I'm working with. Because my goal is to not get you in shape. My goal is to change your mind, change your life, give you a full transformation.
Mm, mm. Yeah. Let's we're gonna set up a consultation. I wanted to I not absolutely I was waiting for today to bring it up for sure because I'm on the text list, all of that. Been following you for a while, so we're gonna set that up for sure. And
Let's make it happen, bro.
absolutely, just because I see the value, and that's what it comes down to. Well, individuals once they're trying to traject their lives, they have to go through a self assessment, and that self assessment is what type of personal development am I going to invest in for myself? If you're not
Right.
investing in any type of growth and education for yourself, then you're never going to grow dramatically because there's so much information out there, and it may not be free, or you may need that personalized interaction, and you're offering
Mm-hmm.
that for sure. So
Yeah.
it's extremely important to get to that space and just community. Like you're building
100%.
community in itself.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Facebook, interacting with individuals on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what other social media platforms you utilize.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, usually Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So it's important for anybody who is trying to accomplish anything in any type of thing that they're interested in to join that community for sure. So you have a specific community that revolves around black men, black and brown men that are either entrepreneurs or have a mindset, a growth mindset, a success mindset.
Growth
And to
mindset.
be in that
Yep. 100%.
community, that's just a abundance of energy,
Mm-hmm.
of of progression of yourself and progression. Well, you get to witness progression of others, which is ultimately impacting that community because everyone is doing their thing. It's going to inspire you
100%.
to keep going, and that's why
100%.
I'm. I know like people say some individuals are products of their environment,
Mm-hmm.
um, but also you can be a product of your intuition. You can be a product
Mm-hmm.
of your mind. But I've been diving deep into consciousness and stuff, so I'm actually not a product of my mind because that's um another that's egoic as well because
Mm-hmm.
the ego is constantly influencing
The
the
mind is what makes everything subjective, my brother.
absolutely. So I'm
Saying
more.
you put your you I always say this, man. You put your finger on a if you put your finger on a hot stove for 1 minute, it feels like an hour,
Mhm,
right? You having this thoughtful conversation with me. We didn't even having this conversation but close to an hour now. It's probably gonna feel like it's been a couple minutes.
mhm,
Your mind is what makes things subjective. And so inside
absolutely.
of that, you can enjoy time or time can right be the other opposite. And I say
Right.
that to say uh not to dive super into the metaphysical, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying with that, man. Like understanding,
Hmm.
like your mind is you are not a product of your mind. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So,
Yeah, and that comes full circle to say when you are around individuals that understand that concept, it's
mm-hmm,
it's going to be transformational for sure.
100%, bro.
So I'm curious on like how can we solve individuals' problems on this call right now? On this Zoom chat. So people are constantly facing different forms of fatigue. Why are they facing fatigue in their lives? Like, what do you think some of the
Resistance,
things
man.
are? Mm,
Resistance, man. Physical resistance, aka they're not putting the right things in their body. Their body's not healthy. Mental resistance, right? They don't have the conditioning, the perspective that is within alignment of finding that level of flow in their life. And
mm,
spiritual resistance, man. Their environment, the energy they're around, the frequencies, it's not within accordance of where they're trying to go. So it constantly feels like there's an uphill battle. You put those
wow.
three things together, man, you start taking care of yourself. You start conditioning your mind to be more in flow with your spirit and your intuition. You start putting yourself in environments that have positive messages, right? People say, I always say, bro, I don't go to the club. What do we see in the club? It's everybody trying to feel like they're better than everybody else. That's a low frequency environment for me. That's why I don't go in there. What you
Mm-hmm.
paying $1,500 to be in a little boxed in couch section to pay overpriced for liquor, right? Just so you can feel like you're better than the people who don't have that, right? You're
Wow.
thriving off of jealousy and envy. Those are lower forms of frequency. Those are actual lower physiological forms of energy. And then, right, you put that in the perspective that, again, spiritual energy, your environment. I don't want to be in that type of surrounding. I'm just giving you an example as it pertains to me and my journey and my
Right.
perspective. Not everybody has to agree with it, but when you are constantly in a physical, mental, and spiritual resistance, man, you're fatigued all the way around. That's why when I worked that 9 to 5 corporate internship, it took me 3 coffees to get throughout the day.
Wow.
I would get out of work. I wouldn't have no energy to go to the gym because there was so much spiritual and mental resistance. It wasn't even no physical resistance. I was still healthy, right? But it was so much mental and spiritual resistance inside of that space. It drained my body. It
Mm.
drained me. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Fatigue happens on all three of those dimensions, bro. And when you put
Wow.
all those three things together, man, things just start flowing. Why you think
Hmm.
old people who live in grace can wake up at 3 in the morning with no alarm clock? Because
Yep.
they've gotten old and they've become in tune with their spirit.
Hmm.
They're old enough to understand like what life really means, and so they no longer condition their mentals to be construed based off of what other environments are around them. They're almost like they're young again.
Wisdom.
You know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that mental, physical, and spiritual, bro.
Yeah, that's profound. That's really profound. So, and that's exactly why your approach is holistic.
100%.
Yeah,
Because I know
yeah.
that getting you a meal plan and telling you how to train is one thing, and that could work. But when I can get you to think and move in a way that you create less resistance inside of your environment, inside of your lifestyle, it's just gonna be a nice little a cruise to get to
Hmm.
exactly where you want to be. And
Absolutely.
now you get to cultivate that into a mindset to be able to manifest in other areas of your life, and it's that simple.
Mm, absolutely. That's profound. So let's take some time to dive into nutrition.
Okay.
So that's a major component to one's well-being as you're articulating. So what's some of the things that, well, do you meal plan?
So is it you meal plan or meal prep?
Prep, sorry. Yeah, do you meal prep?
Ideally, yes. So most weeks I do. I specifically am training for a specific goal. So I essentially either have to meal prep. It's either I gotta pay it in my time or pay it in my money. When it comes to nutrition, and so I do meal prep every week, about twice a week, just to make sure again I'm prepared to be able to put the right foods in my body that's needed to hit my specific goal.
Mm. And on that note, I just was on a call with you and a group of people a couple of days ago, and you were diving into macronutrients, right?
Hmm.
And in your program, you have a certain formula for individuals that want to achieve a certain goal,
Yep.
right? So, can you spend some time sharing what those micronutrients are and how it correlates with a formula, your formula?
Yeah. So macronutrients are essentially the breakdown of calories, right? Which all food is made out of calories. Calories is simply a unit of energy.
Hmm.
Macronutrients is then the further breakdown of those calories into proteins, fats, and carbs, which make up all foods. And so essentially, when you're looking at a goal and you're looking at the way your body responds, carbs and fats are your body's main sources of energy, right? Which means your body pulls from carbs and fats to get energy, whereas proteins are for the majority of the part the building blocks of building muscle. So inside of your macronutrients, it simply allows you to look at your calories, right? Break them down even further to better understand how your body is going to respond to a specific nutrition. To a specific nutritional preset. So, for example, I'm about 165 pounds right now, right? I'm looking to gain weight. I'm a hard gainer. I have a fast metabolism. Fast metabolism simply means that at the end of the day, my body naturally burns more calories than I've consumed, which means that I have less fat on my body, which means I usually lose weight on by default. Whereas if you have a slower metabolism, it's usually the other way around. At the end of the day, your body usually tends to burn less calories than you consumed. Any calories that are left over as a unit of energy in your body turn into fat, right? And so when you look at that, you simply say, okay, cool. What is the calories I need to eat on a day-to-day basis to get to my goal? And then your macros allows you to say, out of those calories, where do I want to get my energy for stored fat and energy versus my energy for protein, right? And that allows to actually dictate your body composition. So macronutrients are more of an aesthetic based thing. Macronutrients don't account for anything in regards to nutritional quality. It's only nutritional quantity, right? Now, when you couple that with the right actual nutrition quality, like getting your food from whole sources, you pretty much have a designated formula for you to win. Now, outside of my program, I track all of your food for a week to see what is your essentially what we call your total daily energy expenditure. That is the amount of calories that your body burns by default every day just to function. Because essentially, if you eat that the same amount of calories that your body burns a day just to function, you kind of just stay where you're at when it weight wise. And so I know if you're trying to lose weight, you need to be at a deficit of that. And if you're trying to gain weight, you need to be at a surplus of that. From there, I simply calculate your macronutrients based on your body composition, your body fat percentage. And I simply say, okay, here out of this percentage, here's how much protein I want you to have, here's how much carbs I want you to have, here's how much fats you want you to have. Then I personally have a specific technological asset inside of my program that I built myself, where we get to take the foods, 80% that you should be eating, or 20% of whatever you like, and we make sure it fits that actual number. And that way you have a daily template to rock with every day.
Wow. 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 The grind tribe, for
Yes, sir.
sure.
GrindTribe, baby.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I look forward to that experience for sure. You said one thing that I'm curious about. At the end of the day, your body burns less calories. So if you are eating later in the day, um, that those calories that you're consuming, the unit of energy, those are more likely to um, be within your body, and that's why people gain weight
So
later,
sort of usually,
or depending on the
again,
metabolism.
calories are just a number based thing, right? So
Mm,
whether it doesn't matter what time you're eating them, right? It's really just at the end of a 24-hour period, how much has your body burnt more calories than it has consumed? If that is yes, usually if you have a fast metabolism, the answer is yes, right? Unless you're being intentional about gaining.
yeah.
If that answer is yes, then you're typically a smaller guy, right? A slimmer frame. You're just a guy who doesn't really focus on having to lose that much weight. Where if it's the other side, if it's the other side of things, and you have a slow metabolism, which means at the end of a 24-hour period, your body has consumed less calories, right? Than it your body has burned. Sorry, your body has burned less calories than it has consumed. Then those extra calories that are left in your body get stored as fat, right? So slow metabolism. This is why people with slow metabolisms tend to, again, be want to lose weight, or tend to have trouble losing weight, because they need to be more mindful of the calories that they should not be having additionally left over. And again, timing matters in regards to digestion and a couple of different other variant factors. But really, it's at the end of 24-hour period, you have calories left over that are going to be stored in fat, or calories in a deficit that your body's actually going to take that extra energy that it needs from your fat, which is why you stay looking lean.
Mm, absolutely, and that's why you incorporate the quality in whole foods. Got
Yeah,
it.
so the quality in the
Yeah.
whole foods part is simply for the fact that your gut is your second brain, man. And so if I
Mm-hmm.
eat 3,000 calories a day and all my carbs come from white rice and French fries, versus all my carbs calories coming from quinoa, brown rice, black beans, I'm gonna feel totally different, right? Because those are processed things. They have processed qualities, which which affect your blood-brain barrier in a way that your brain processes food into information a little bit differently. You might feel more sluggish, more mentally foggy, right? And so for my type of client, I can't have you out here feeling mentally foggy. You know what I'm saying? And so the quality of food is also gonna play a big factor in it as well, because I want you to feel energized, I want you to feel good about what you're actually doing to your body.
Powerful, powerful. So you've dropped some amazing gems, and I definitely appreciate your time. I could go on for a very long time, but I want to be conscious of your time as well. So I'm gonna cut some of the questions, and I'm curious. Can you share some of your recommended books for individuals that want to dive into mindset and performance?
Mm. It's interesting because I always say when it comes to recommending books, man, it really just depends on where you're at in your journey. I personally
Absolutely.
felt that books that I read that are the most timely for me, like it makes more sense. Like this is what I've been concerned with, or what I've been consumed with inside of my mind, what my spirit's been calling, are the most influential books on me. I'm not the type of dude to try to get 100 books in a month. I'm more about like
Hmm.
what book can serve me the best, man. And so,
Hmm.
what are most highly recommended books that I definitely suggest everybody read. Um, is especially around self-development, spirituality. The Power of
I love
Now by
now.
Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle, that's a great book, man. That was extremely. I read that book last year, and it was extremely timely for me, right? Talking about
Hmm.
the understanding of what presence is, right?
Hmm.
Um, you know, I would say Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. I think it's a very
Beautiful book.
underrated book. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Extremely. Everybody talks about Think and Grow Rich, which I can see why, but Outwitting the Devil is so underrated, man. I think that book is like, it really gets you to understand a lot, and how a
Yeah.
lot of we've been taught is really just literally just a matrix, right? It doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
it's something for us to just believe in that doesn't necessarily serve us, right? Outwitting the Devil is huge. The Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. That's a really, really good book about really just understanding, like, bro, what are your values, right? And as I
Yep.
go into book that more lean into our own history, man, Brainwash by Tom Burrell.
Mm.
Man, messaging. Yes, man. I'm about on my. I'm about. I'm about 2.5 weeks into a rap detox right now, man. Messaging, right? Understanding that there's certain qualities or negativities that are inside of our own music that we're constantly planting into our subconscious mind, right? Understanding that the things that we see, right? How the media industry, how the marketing industry, they commoditize black trauma. They make us feel like that should be a part of our experience inside of our subconscious mind, right? And then we live
Absolutely.
in those experiences, right? So Brainwash by Tom Burrell, amazing book. Really, really just about getting yourself hip on, you know, how we are living inside these narratives that we did not create, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a huge book, man. um the autobiography of Malcolm X, man. And I would
Mm-hmm.
say the ISIS papers by Francis Cress Welsing, if you really really want to know what's going on,
Mm.
if you
I didn't get
really really
that
want to
one.
know.
I don't know
Woo,
that one.
if you really 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 want to know what's going on, man, I would definitely suggest the ISIS papers by Francis Cress Welsing.
Wow. Wow. Those are all gems. I've dived into many of the books that you said and completed it. And like you said, um, is relevant at a certain time in your life. Like it's a
Right.
calling. Like it,
Mm-hmm.
and you may not be able to read it right now, but something may
Mm-hmm.
happen in your life where you're drawn to that book and stuff. And that's
Yeah, man. And
always, yeah, that's
I even
always,
suggest circling back to them, man. Like
yep.
I always circle back to Outwitting the Devil. I circle
Hmm.
back to The Power of Now a lot. The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I circle even the autobiography of Malcolm X, man. Every time I read that, I was in a different stage of my life. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? Like me reading that when I was 19 and I was still out there doing what I was doing, making money, living in a lower version of myself. I wouldn't really say a lower version of myself, but a less evolved version of myself,
Yep.
right? Versus reading it at 24, 25, where I'm evolved, I'm an entrepreneur, man, it's just different. It hits different,
Hmm.
right? And so even circling back to those, man, because there's so many gems. People might want to listen to this podcast, right?
Yep.
Twice, because there might be just be gems in that episode. Like, damn, it just hit
Absolutely.
different this time, right?
Hmm.
Because your subconscious has been opened up to more because you're evolving and you're leaning into your intuition. And so because of that, when you circle back to certain things, there's messages there that you're able to better decode right then and there. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure. I know exactly what you mean. I'm actually about to circle back to a book called The Art of Serenity. So yeah, yeah, yeah. You're dropping gems on gems on gems for sure. So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Man, I used to be able to answer that question so easily. Now I could only say, man, all I know is in 5 years I'm gonna be exactly where I need to be, bro. You
Exactly
know,
where you need
just
to
as long as,
be.
you know what I'm saying. I don't know what that looks like. I could be a millionaire. I could be, just still on the same path. I think that everything is within your time, and as long as you continue to lean into your intuition and lean into the higher version of yourself, man, the universe is just gonna unfold a path. It's gonna decode the path for you, man. And so I don't know what, really where I'm going to be in 5 years. Because if you would have asked me that 5 years ago, I would have been like, well, in 5 years, I'm gonna be a millionaire, and I ain't a millionaire yet,
Mhm.
right? So,
Yeah.
right, just thinking from my ego mind, but
Yep.
right, as you're constantly evolving, man, your spirit is evolving, your values change. When your values change, your path change. What you see as important is changing, and so, man, in 5 years, I just know that wherever I'm gonna be at is gonna be exactly where I'm supposed to be, bro.
Exactly where you're supposed to. That's a beautiful response. I love that. I definitely love that. Thank you for that. One,
Absolutely,
so
man.
what I do with the Renaissance Exchange, one of the last things I ask is if you can identify with any animal, what would it be and why?
I can identify with any animal, what would it
Hmm.
be and why? Man, I wasn't ready for that question. I was like, it's a couple of, you know what I'm saying? You know, man, I would say an eagle.
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 Why
Because
a
an
eagle?
eagle, because they get to see everything, and they get to see everything. They get foresight because the level of altitude that they can fly in the sky, right? They just get that level of foresight on what's going on. An eagle could be in the
Mm.
sky and they could see a predator, you know what I'm saying, half a mile in a forest coming towards its prey. Prey don't even know what's going on. They still in that segment of time, but they still got that bird's eye view on it, right? And so being able to have that foresight to be able to make sharper decisions and just have a better view on things, man, is I would say is what's going to be the most important.
Wow, that's
Word.
philosophical.
Word.
That's dope. That's dope. Yo,
Yeah,
listen, brother,
man.
man. I appreciate your time. This was
Absolutely,
a
bro. I appreciate you for
beautiful,
having me, dog.
yeah, my pleasure. This exchange is gonna impact people's lives in a positive way, and that's what we're about. So let people know where they can find you on social media, website, anything that you want to share.
Absolutely, man. You guys can find me on Instagram as Tyse TYSE underscore the THE _ trainer. I'm on LinkedIn as Elijah Tyson, Facebook as Elijah Tyson. If you want to learn more about the Grind Tribe, the #1 fitness and peak performance community for Black and Brown businessmen, you can visit www.thegrindtribe.com and learn about what we have to offer. We have tons of free training materials on there, and really just things to help you get a little bit of better insight of where you need to be inside of your fitness, mental health, performance journey. And so, yeah, man, that's about it.
Absolutely, and I'll make sure to put the link in below, and so they can go directly to your Instagram and all of your platforms for sure.
My man, appreciate it, bro.
All right, I appreciate your time. One love, peace and
Thank you, bro.
prosperity. All right,
All
man.
right.